Grand Rapids Diner. On the 20th of August 2019, an anonymous person started a thread discussing some extremely unsettling activity he'd noticed at an abandoned building near his home. However, what sounded like nothing more than a conspiracy creepypasta turned into a disturbing mystery involving shady shell companies, mysterious sightings, and the potential disappearance of 3 people who went looking for more evidence. The post read, "You X-Files want to solve a real conspiracy? 1634 Coit, Grand Rapids, Michigan was once a popular restaurant called Isaac's that opened shop in the mid-1990s. After the owner Isaac died from lung cancer, his widow and son kept it running for a few years before ultimately closing down and selling the building in the early parts of 2014. A strange couple in their 40s purchased it shortly thereafter with the intention of turning it into a coffee shop. They painted the exterior, put a lamp in the middle of the building, taped garbage bags over the windows, and that's how it sat until present day. It was in the fall of 2015 when weird stuff started happening. It was not uncommon to see 2 or 3 SUVs pull into the premises, bring in a group of young children, and then see the adults leave, but never catch sight of the children again. The reason I'm posting this is because I was just walking my dog past the building tonight when I saw a kid about 10 or 11 pull down a corner of one of the garbage bags taped over the window and proceeding to pound on the glass as if trying to get my attention. I pulled out my camera to get a pic, but right before the flash went off, he was seemingly pulled away by someone. I stood around for several more minutes, but the building seemed empty from that point forward. The police were called, showed up, flashed their lights in the window, and didn't see anything and just took off. No one is taking this seriously. I'm telling you, something nefarious is going on here." Put simply, the OP was implying that this abandoned building was the operating ground for a trafficking ring of sorts. Which does sound a bit out there at first, with some even accusing the OP of straight up making the whole thing up. That is, until people started looking into it. And what they discovered was concerning to say the least. For starters, users uncovered the fact that the property was owned by a company called Humanics LLC, which to some sounded a lot like a mix of words human and trafficking. The company's headquarters were publicly listed as a house just a 7-minute drive away from the abandoned diner. And visiting the place on Google Street View from 2019 shows an SUV and a van parked outside, just like the OP claimed in his post. At one point, the Street View car also captured a handful of children in the house's yard, which some used as evidence of something shady going on. However, from the looks of things, these children were just playing in the yard with no fence or supervision. So, if they were truly being trafficked, there was nothing stopping them from running away. But still, the evidence supporting OP's claims was continuing to pile up. Another strange thing about Humanics was that it had a reported yearly revenue of over $92,000, despite no one being able to find any information on where this revenue came from. As for the listed owner of Humanics, that turned out to be an IT professional named Ray. However, he didn't list anything about Humanics on his LinkedIn profile, which would make sense if he was truly using the company for illegal activities. Lastly, the photo OP uploaded with his original post also turned out to have a crucial piece of evidence. You see, in order to confirm the OP was actually the one who took this picture, other users made him post another picture with a timestamp. However, while the background of this new photo looks similar to the previous one at first glance, keen-eyed users noticed a shadow from behind the door was missing in the second photo, suggesting that there was someone hiding behind the door who later moved away. Likely the same person who in the OP's story pulled the child away from the window. These discoveries, combined with some users from that area backing up OP's claims, made 4chan users extremely curious about what was going on, with a few deciding to take matters into their own hands and visit the area themselves. One user drove to the location and managed to stream their visit. And while the stream itself has since been deleted, a screen grab from it survived. It showed the interior of the place, which was a total mess. There was nothing there to suggest that the property had been under renovation for years by that point. Another user also visited the diner and streamed everything on Twitch. However, this stream introduced even more questions than it answered. For starters, at one point during the stream, we could clearly see handprints on the window, exactly where the OP claimed the child was banging earlier. The person streaming this location also ended the stream in a very disturbing fashion, where he heard something in the darkness, went to check on it, and then went offline.
Okay, I thought I heard something back here. Nope. Okay, I'm out.
It's been over 6 years since then, and this user has never streamed on Twitch again, almost as if he disappeared that night, which unfortunately seems to be a trend with this mystery. Both the OP and the person who streamed the interior first have also disappeared from the internet, and supposedly no one has heard anything from them ever since. So, what's going on here? Was this abandoned diner actually connected to a trafficking business? Well, given everything we've seen, that's not out of the realm of possibility. The place even had a spacious basement with plenty of space for nefarious activities. One of the main arguments against this theory is that the building is surrounded by homes on all sides, so surely someone in the neighborhood might have reported some suspicious activity. However, something that goes against this assumption is the fact that the Grand Rapids area has 10 times the national average of people on the sex offender registry. So, if this business was actually what the OP insinuated, there would be no shortage of customers nearby. Though, one part of the story that we haven't talked about yet is the second address linked to Humanix. It corresponds to a massive house about 20 minutes away from the shady diner. Looking up the residents of this home leads to a couple named Sam and Leah, who could be the couple the OP mentioned in his post. Something notable about Sam and Leah, however, is that they were the foster parents of up to 8 kids at the time, which explains the many kids of similar age playing in the yard of their other property. And given how rigorous the foster system is in the US, it would not be easy for them to traffic the children they adopted without anyone noticing. Now, a potential explanation for all of this is that the OP saw the couple in the area once with their foster children and made up the rest of the story for attention online. But while this explains some parts of the mystery, there are still many questions left unanswered. For instance, how was Humanix making so much money without providing any product or service? Why would Sam and Leah take their foster children to an under-renovation building in the first place? And why did the 3 people investigating this mystery completely disappear from the internet without a trace? Unfortunately, it's been over 6 years since the original post went up. The diner has since been sold to someone else, and no one has been able to find any concrete evidence of the trafficking theory ever since. Whatever the deal with this Grand Rapids diner was, whether nefarious or completely innocent, it will likely remain a mystery for the foreseeable future.